Hello, and welcome to Johannesburg, South Africa. Democracy came to South Africa in 1994, and with freedom came all kinds of problems. On the forefront of the fight against corruption is Corruption Watch, an independent organization that aims to watch the watchers and make sure that everyone is equal before the law.
Mostly what we're doing is encouraging the public to participate more actively in reporting experiences of corruption and expressing their views on corruption. That's our overwhelming aim.
I think it's a very unique organization, NGO. I don't think there's any organization of its kind that focuses solely on corruption. So it's got a very big voice, a very big role to play.
By us existing as a civil society organization that is just focused on corruption, we are able to walk this path with individuals by saying, bring these reports to us and let's act as a collective rather than you acting as an individual.
In order to do that, we obviously have to make it clear that it's worthwhile reporting to us. And so we're engaging in a lot of media work where we report back to people the kind of things that we hear, but we're also doing a certain amount of investigatory work and a certain amount of legal work, litigation work based upon the reports that we receive.
More than just collecting reports from the ground, I think a very important element is that as civil society, we have positioned ourselves in such a way that we are able to recommend to government based on the knowledge that we get from the people on the ground on how corruption can be fought effectively.
I think there's a big problem with corruption actually. Everything is corrupted, everything. I've got friends that even say, if you give your ID book with your license and there's a 50 rand in and you were wrong, your ID book comes back and your 50 rand's out. So basically you don't have to, it's not about saying, can I have a bribe anymore. It's that everybody knows now what to do.
Don't get a speeding fine, give a bribe, whatever. At the licensing department, they take bribes, offer bribes, either way.
We had a very successful early campaign that was directed at bribery on the roads in Johannesburg, where after a campaign and after initial, reaction ranging from hostility to lack of interest on the part of the Metro cops and the Johannesburg authorities, eventually the Johannesburg authorities were very cooperative with us and basically have introduced a series of reforms, none of which are rocket science, like, for example, enforcing the requirement on the part of traffic cops to wear identification.
I think that as Corruption Watch, we are doing more than just watching. We are inspiring change, and you can see that during our first year, we've heard our South African government talking a lot about corruption just after we were launched. And when we began to expose some of the investigations that we did, and also when we began to launch our campaigns publicly and putting pressure on government to act, we saw a response.
So I think what makes us unique is our independence. And so if we had statutory powers, we wouldn't then retain the independence that we have at present. We are an independent organization with an independent board. And so although we can't prosecute perpetrators criminally, what we're really trying to do now is to use the civil law to hold people who've perpetrated acts of corruption accountable. And that's something that we are just getting started, and I think it's a very interesting project.
We also have a very particular focus in 2013 on corruption in schools. And the amounts of money involved are not, tens of millions of rands as they are in tender corruption, but they are about the difference between whether a school gets an extra classroom or it doesn't, whether it gets a library or it doesn't. And we've also received a large volume of reports on small towns, and we're going to look into that quite closely as well. But we want to, I suppose, demonstrate to people that we're very driven by the actual experiences of the public and the things that they report to us. Very central to our project is communication, and obviously nowadays very central to communications is social media and new media generally. HIVOS is a funder that has had a particular kind of relationship with human rights work in South Africa and all over the world. So we feel that it's a very kind of appropriate relationship that we're grateful to have and grateful to have renewed.
The fact that Corruption Watch has become so well known to the nation in such a short time shows just how much an organization like this is needed.
I think that this organization will become the channel for many people in South Africa to not just report corruption, but to mobilize against corruption. This is where the future is for us.